Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris and I just got done watching Zombieland Double Tap. And with this sequel to Zombieland, we follow the same group we did 10 years ago, and really not much has changed with them. They're still the happy little family that they were 10 years ago, but spend enough time with anybody and you'd get pretty sick of them, leading to one of the members of the group to go off on their own, forcing the remaining members to go out and find her before any zombies get to her. That's all pretty much. If that can be spoilers to you guys, this is a spoiler-free review. Now with Zombieland, what a cult freaking classic that movie was. I had such a fun ride and was really refreshing for the zombie genre at that time. Kind of crazy that it took 10 years for them to make a sequel to this thing, because in between that time, it has been zombie overload with The Walking Dead, zombie movie almost every other year. The zombie genre has gotten to that point now where they need to introduce something like time travel to make it interesting, just because we've seen so much. So I was kind of nervous 10 years later if this Zombieland sequel would even have anything new to say on the genre, and you know what? It's not really a zombie movie, but it's a movie with characters you remember and love, and you're happy to see them again. That's my biggest takeaway I took from here, because if you're going in this movie expecting the next great zombie film, like a Shaun of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, you're not really gonna get that. The main draw to go out and see this thing is if you were a fan of the first Zombieland, if you enjoyed that world they created with Jesse Eisenberg having this character that just makes up the rules, the banter between him and Woody Harrelson, not to mention some beautiful Emma Stone, you get pretty much the exact same thing in this movie, and you know what? It still sort of works. This movie, of course, is kind of messy, has a lot of random things that you're like, I don't know where this is going or why this is even happening. Some parts of the movie, it just feels like random segment after random segment, trying their best to weave it into a linear story, but it's the gags and goof in this Zombieland world, these characters and their little quirks that you just can't get enough of, because we were dying 10 years later for more of these guys. But I think the thing that brought it up another level to me were some of the new characters they've added in. Zoe Deutsch, who plays this unbelievably dumb character that has survived in Zombieland all this time, steals the show every time she is on screen. She's the type of character that you think you're going to be annoyed from in the first 30 seconds she's on screen, but they find a way to make her annoying and charming. It's like a Kardashian you actually like. She comes off very cute, ditzy, and quirky, and adds a nice little dynamic flavor to the group. I couldn't believe how much she had me laughing throughout this film when I seriously thought I was gonna hate her, because my eyes were rolling the first 3 or 4 sentences she had, and then I just found myself loving her. You also have a rip-off version of Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg in this movie. That turns into one of those little segments I was talking about, where for a second of this movie it just becomes them comparing each other, measuring their dicks, if you will. But even though this movie is divided into those little segments, they're always built to a nice, hilarious payoff or a great action scene. The final act to me was so fun and wild, and actually had my suspense going. There were certain characters I wasn't aware if they were going to make it out or not, because even though this is a sequel, you're not really sure which characters will survive to the end of this, because another sequel is not promised. It could be another 10 years or it could be never, so I wouldn't put it past them for one of the main guys or girls to get a nice bite to the neck. Rosario Dawson is a nice little late addition. Sometimes her relationship with Woody Harrelson just felt a little forced and just needed, like, everyone else is falling in love, we need you to fall in love too, Woody. But like I said, you forgive the messiness of this movie and realize it's not perfect, but it is a lot of fun and rolls in the direction you're wanting of this zombie crazed world. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're definitely going to have a good time with this one. Just if you're new to the franchise or you're not that big of a fan of the first movie, I don't think you'll get that much enjoyment out of this movie, because I say it's a zombie film third on the list, when first it's these characters you love and it's a comedy. Then if you're wanting some of that zombie gory action, well, you're not going to get that as much. For Zombieland, I'm going to give action 3.5 stars. It was far and few in between, but when the action scenes were done, especially at the very end, they were very entertaining and different from what we've seen in other zombie movies. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars, mainly going to Zoe Deutsch, because like I said, her ditzy character is so funny and steals the show, but also you have funny characters like Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, really everyone gets a chance to show their comedic chops in this movie. Drama in the film, I'm gonna give it a simple 3 stars too here. There's not really anything new, and the way the movie is told, where like I said, it feels just divided up in segments that loosely connect to each other. It's a pretty simple story they're giving you, a search and rescue rescue mission. Horror in the movie, I'm gonna give it half a star too. Like I said, this is mainly a comedy and a zombie movie, third on the list. So there aren't tons of things in here meant to actually scare you being a zombie movie. And suspense in the film, I am gonna give 3 stars to because I was surprised how on the edge of my seat I was sometimes for these characters, not knowing if this would be their final time on screen. Casual fans, I'm gonna give it an A+. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a B-. And critically, I'm going to give it a B-. For Zombieland 2, I definitely recommend you watch this in theaters. Also, quick note, guys, this isn't a spoiler at all, but there is a sort of post-credit scene a few seconds after the credits have started, so you definitely want to stay for that, 'cause it is really worth it. I think even if you don't like the whole movie, you're gonna like that end credit scene. But let me know what you guys thought about Zombieland 2 if you got around to seeing it. Do you think this was worth the 10-year wait? Would you wait another 10 years for a sequel? Or were you pretty disappointed with what you were given? Anything and everything, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.